The crystalline chamber of the Galactic Tribunal hummed with anticipation as thousands of species watched the proceedings through neural link feeds. At the center of the vast hall stood Kivan, a human male in his late 20s, his hands bound in gravitational restraints that shimmered with violet energy. Ambassador Hayal of the Terran Diplomatic Corps stood beside him, her dark eyes fixed on the 7-member judicial panel that represented the oldest civilizations in known space. She had fought for 3 solar cycles to prevent this moment. But the evidence against Kivan was damning. He had violated the preservation protocols by landing on Vardoth 7, a class Tuthene Deathworld strictly forbidden to all sentient life. The tribunal has reached its verdict, announced High Arbiter Zelkoth, his translucent form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Kivan of Terra, you have been found guilty of violating galactic law. 847. The sentence is death by exile. You will be returned to Vardoth 7 and left to perish as nature intended. A collective gasp rippled through the alien observers. It was the harshest sentence the tribunal had issued in millennia. Hale's jaw tightened. Your Honors, I must protest. Kivan only landed on Vardoth 7 because his ship was critically damaged. He had no choice. The law is absolute, Zelkoth interrupted. No exceptions. The human will be transported to Vardoth 7 within the cycle. This tribunal is adjourned. As the chamber emptied, Hayal approached Kivan, her voice barely a whisper. I'm sorry. I tried everything. Kivan managed a small smile. I know you did. Don't worry about me, Hayal. I survived there for 6 months already. I can do it again. 6 months? She shook her head. The tribunal believes you hid in your ship's safe room the entire time. They don't understand. Let them believe what they want, Kivan said quietly. Sometimes the galaxy needs to learn things the hard way. 1 standard cycle later, Kivan stood on the rust-colored surface of Vardoth 7 as the tribunal's transport vessel lifted off, leaving him alone. The planet's twin suns beat down mercilessly, and in the distance, he could hear the distinctive roar of a Vorthak pack, 6-legged predators the size of Earth's ancient elephants, with crystalline fangs that could shatter titanium. The tribunal had given him nothing. No supplies, no weapons, no shelter. They expected him to die within hours. Kivan rolled his shoulders and began walking toward the volcanic ridges to the east. He had left supplies cached there during his previous stay, hidden in places only a human could reach. The tribunal had studied Vardoth 7's ecosystem for centuries from orbit, documenting its horrors in clinical detail. But they had never set foot on the surface. They didn't understand that humans came from a death world too. Back on the tribunal station, Hayal watched the monitoring feeds in her quarters, unable to look away. Protocol demanded that Kivan's death be documented for the archives. She expected the footage to last minutes, perhaps an hour if he was fortunate. She didn't expect what happened next. On the screen, Kivan moved with purpose and confidence through terrain that would kill most species in seconds. When a Vorthak pack detected him, he didn't run. Instead, he climbed a near-vertical cliff face using handholds that would require gravitational assistance for most species. The Vorthak couldn't follow. When acidic rain began to fall, the kind that had dissolved probe drones in seconds, Kivan simply took shelter in a cave he seemed to already know about, emerging when it passed. Days turned into weeks. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as Kivan not only survived but thrived. He fashioned tools from volcanic glass, hunted the smaller predators with traps, and found water sources that the tribunal's sensors had missed. He even tamed a young skitterwing, a species previously thought impossible to domesticate, by saving it from a collapsing tunnel. Hayal found herself smiling as she watched him build a modest shelter, using techniques that wouldn't look out of place in Earth's ancient history. The tribunal had meant to execute him, but they had given him exactly what he needed: freedom from bureaucracy, a world that challenged him, and time. After 90 days, High Arbiter Zelkoth contacted Hayal personally, his bioluminescence flickering with what she had learned to recognize as confusion. Ambassador, we do not understand. The human should have perished within hours. Vardoth 7 has a lethality rating of 99.7% for Class Tuthene planets. How is this possible? Hayal chose her words carefully. Your Honor, may I ask what Earth's classification is in the Galactic Registry? There was a long pause. We have not completed Terra's evaluation. The preliminary data was deemed too extreme to be accurate. We assumed sensor malfunction. Earth is a Class X Deathworld, Hayal said softly. Kevin didn't land on Vardoth 7 by accident during his first visit. He was conducting a survival assessment for potential colony sites. Your harsh sentence was effectively sending him to a slightly more dangerous version of his home. The silence that followed was profound. The tribunal wishes to reconsider the verdict, Zelkoth finally said. I'm afraid you'll need to ask Kivan about that. Hayal replied, glancing at her screen where Kivan was teaching his skitterwing companion to hunt. Last I checked, he was building a rather nice homestead in the eastern valleys. He might not want to leave. When the tribunal's delegation arrived on Vardoth 7 3 weeks later with a full pardon and offers of reparations, they found Kevin sitting outside a sturdy shelter, roasting meat over a fire, his skitterwing curled beside him. He looked at the assembled aliens, species that had declared his death sentence, and smiled. Gentlemen, he said, gesturing to the deadly paradise around him, welcome to my retirement home. Would you like to stay for dinner? I should warn you, the local cuisine is an acquired taste. As the delegates stumbled over their apologies and offers, Hale stood to the side, watching the human who had turned his execution into his salvation. The galaxy had tried to kill Kivan as punishment. Instead, they had given him exactly what he wanted, a challenge worthy of humanity's legacy, and the Galactic Tribunal would never make that mistake again.